Academy is a way for teachers, for you all, to really dive deeper into this whole maker do-it-yourself experience and think about how we can recreate that experience for our students.
Is how groups can connect with each other in ways that are not your just simple sit at your desk and take what the teacher tells you, but to start to awaken that everyone is an inventor, all of us are creative, and if we can tap into that in ourselves, then we can bring that to the people that we teach. So this is a real simple way to introduce yourself. You say your name and you do a gesture, and you do them together. And then we all have to repeat it. And we'll go around, and you can't be wrong. Don't think about it. So, I'll start. Amy.
And we all come in.
Now you have to do it.
Amy.
Very good.
Jeannie.
Jean.
Sabina.
Sabina. Bob. This activity is called Yellow Ball. One thing that we really want to focus on for this activity is eye contact and keeping eye contact throughout the whole exchange with your partner. Okay?
Yellow ball, thank you.
Green ball. Green ball, thank you.
Red ball, thank you.
Green ball.
Red
Green
ball,
ball.
thank you.
Green ball.
Yellow ball.
Green ball.
All right, I'm catching the balls.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how, in the beginning we were laughing, and then all of a sudden everyone was just so focused. And I have to say, I'm really impressed. You guys already work really well together. And, this is why we use improv in our workshops, because it really helps with collaboration to get connected, to focus on listening, and, these skills that we need to use as we're working with each other throughout the weekend. So, you guys did a great job. You're already improv pros. So let's go tap into some more collective mind power in our lab. We're all coming in here. We come from all different schools, all different organizations, all different kinds of students, and we want to know what is your teaching process? How is it that you do what you do? And we're going to ask you to do that in a creative way. We're going to ask you to make a visual representation of your teaching process, okay? Yes? So we'll start filling up our thinking of ideas.
There's some students, but I don't.
Yeah. So when you're finished, if you could find a place on the walls. We can also put them up on the green walls, the windows over here. Thank you.
I like to work on research, beforehand, my lessons, anything new that I find, and then later share it out.
To you is lots of times when you're messing with materials, you get new ideas.
What supports everything are the students and the exchange that happens in the thinking between the space itself, the materials, myself, and the students. So that's it.
And I like your approach to the work in progress, because we'll leave these up, and maybe over the course of the next 2 days there are things you may want to add or change. So they're all works in progress.
Well, there are certain classrooms filled with students that are English language learners. How do I modify for them? How do I modify for students with disabilities? And how do I then, on the other end of the spectrum, how do I challenge the students who are gifted and talented? So that's always, that's always in the back of my mind throughout the whole process. How am I going to do this for the different sets of students there?
But then once I teach it, then the children also have to take that hands-on information and bring it back to, okay, what did you learn from it, and how can I apply it? Because the bottom line is they're going to have some kind of assessment in the end. So even though we did all of this hands-on, how are we going to assess it? How can I assess it?
I'm not just a kindergarten teacher, I'm an actress, because you have to demonstrate, you have to be dramatic and lively with them, because then they're going to get bored. So I'm like, anything is just the most amazing thing ever.
What we're going to focus focus on for the next little bit is you know, a nice transition from talking about your resources and how y'all are looking online, is a site that ISKME started a little over 2 years ago called OER Commons. It is an effort to bring all these resources together rather than having to spend lots of money on textbooks. But the more exciting piece, I think, is that teachers will have a way to really engage with this material in a new way and put their mark on it and share it out. So it'll be continually evolving and changing over time.
A lot of this site was begun in this what we call top-down way of that there's great resources out there. Some universities are ready to put their courses online. It's a new way of publishing. There's some schools that want to share resources. There's museums. There's all kinds of organizations that have things on the internet. But how could someone approach the internet other than with Google, which is very useful, get those resources in a place where you actually know what kind of resource, or how has it been used before, or what have other instructors and teachers said about it. So in addition to this top-down model, we have this bottom-up model, which is where a lot of the themes that we're starting to emerge here around what role teachers have in their research and in saying what's working, and what the importance of open is that all of you and all of us have a role to play in interacting with resources. When we either create something or we say whether it worked for us, then we can put that information attached to the original resource and grow this knowledge base around what's really working in the classroom. We're in an interesting space now with the internet, that there's a huge democratization of the tools. This power given back to all of us to be authors and to be reviewers and to contribute to a world where we're actually collaborators all the time.
Just wanted to give you some hands-on time to explore the site.
This is like
I did like the North Carolina group you had, that they're so thorough with the time that's allotted for the activity, the materials, what they should get out of it. It's just like it's written down for y'all to do, just teach and get the materials. I think it's very helpful. And I haven't heard of a website like this, and I'm like when I go home, I'm gonna be like making a big folder, like signing up, making a big folder, and definitely use this. It's really helpful.
To have something like this where we can kind of get fast, information, and, like she said, with the materials listed already and time that they spent for them to do it, that kind of thing is going to be very helpful for us, because we have so many times these companies, oh, I have this grade, like they send me an email, I have this grade, and I need a lesson by next week, and I'm having a lot of trouble. So to have that short amount of time to try and figure something out is kind of hard, especially with other work to do. But if I could just go here and be like, or even refer them to here, and be like, just become a member, this is really cool, check it out, it might help you. That would be really great for me to make my life a lot easier. So thank you very much.
Good, I'm glad.
When you Google, you get like a whole lot of stuff. You get lost. But going to OER, I click on the periodic table. I can go for different grade levels and different how high of an education level they go for, and they have one for more appropriate for 6th graders. So I like that. That's fantastic. Instead of like going to Wikipedia, they have so much verbiage. When I showed it to a kid, they're like, oh my god, they get really bored. And when I'm here, I feel like, wow, it's an amazing tool. So I highly recommend this.
Using some words as I hear them, I know we started with this theme that we call the workshop Teachers as Makers. I'm also hearing and watching you, teachers, as something else. Your role is growing as you're a searcher, a researcher, a learner, an author. I'm also want to point out, not just a learner, but a digital learner, because you're jumping into this this collective mind of the internet now that is providing a whole new way of learning, and also social learners, because you're learning from how other people have learned already, and then you're learning with each other. So this is another way that you're learning. And when I heard a lot of your stories around your process, we have a diagram that we like to use too. It kind of goes like this. It's very simple, but there's lots of arrows. And Megan just used this word, feedback. if learning's this feedback loop, and sometimes you start with your inspiration and you find a resource like what we're doing right now, you use it in the classroom, then there's this other piece, and we saw it in the video, evaluation or assessment. A big piece of what's going on in your mind when you're teaching is, how did this work? How can I evaluate myself as a teacher compared to and with respect to what the students got out of it? So your students are walking through this process. When you bring a resource into the classroom and you put it into the teaching context, something happens here. Some amazing learning happens or not, and then you have to refine your process. So what this site is also built around is, can I as a teacher improve the resource as I go forward, and can I improve my teaching process? So we try to capture all of that together, and that's really the philosophy that's underlying this open education movement, is continuous improvement.
We have some fantastic makers here to collaborate with you over the next few hours. And what we're going to do, you can see they have their stations set up here. We're going to break you up into groups of 3 to 4, and we're going to spend around 20 minutes with each maker. This is really a time for you to experience these maker projects, to be students. You don't necessarily have to have your teacher hat on at this point. We'll do some processing at the end, but just really enjoy the project. So.
1, 2. Very good. What happened?
We have one. Yeah, okay. A data line, just a mark. Like they'll spin through. Okay, so base the black. I'm gonna go ahead. Yep, push down and then artist soft space.
Gravity getting stronger.
Yeah, let's see. Robot wars, yay! Let's have a robot war. Sorry, we're trying to see how the design is affected if when we tie the two together. Oh, that's great!
You said that it wouldn't work if they were too close together.
Let's put the third one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, occasionally they do.
It's kind of fun to see how they go on their own.
Then you can just type right in there.
Everyday products that you can use.
That you can bring people together and create wild things together, which is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get bored at all. And it's nice to learn from people who are actually doing those things. I mean, not teachers teaching you, but they're actually working with it. It's great. I mean, I never thought of potential and kinetic energy the way I've done today.
Emphasis on sustainability was very potent. That using things that are readily available, things that you can reuse, things that emphasize the fact that you don't have to get special equipment to make this possible for the children, and just drive home the point that, you know, we have limited resources.
Everything's so interdisciplinary now. It's like what you can use on one side you could bring into another, like especially just the paper making. It's not just how you start with the paper and the fact that you could reuse objects, but that's how they made paper long ago, and then you could bring it into social studies.
What you were saying about with the paper making. So maybe your paper might not be white, but you can still write on it, or you can use it as a cover for a notepad, or give it as a gift, so you can bring your English language arts into it if they're going to use it, or as a journal or something like that. They can write about their plans. Or
It definitely helped me to develop more questions.
You could get a thin, like 4x8 sheet of plywood. You could put the paper on that and have kids stand all around it and very slowly move it in different directions, not just doing fast because you'll flip it. And they would do it, the group would do a drawing with the robots at the same time. You like a dance.
Oh, that's nice.
Another aspect, I think, to this so-called makers movement, or the DIY movement, and we didn't talk about it here, but we saw it here, and that is that everything doesn't come from the store. Everything here came from something else. It had another purpose, and it was repurposed. Not just recycled, you know, in the way of a soda bottle, but pieces taken out of something and recombined to create something new.
You don't have to take it from a published textbook or an official piece of proprietary software. You can find things, you're doing it right now, find something on the internet or something you create yourself and put all those pieces together from different learning objectives, different subjects, different exercises, and then create something totally new that's never been created before. And the ideas that came from us talking about where we could take some of these projects then is like another level of remixing, that we've done this together that wouldn't have come out if we had done it by ourselves.
But I didn't prepare instructions for the project that we did. And someone took very, very copious notes and drawings, Gretchen, and I said, well, you know, it would be great if it could be posted on the wiki, because that's really what it was designed for. So here's a collaboration, I guess you could say, of documenting it and presenting it. We've never worked together before, but at the end of this process, there'll be something that is accessible to lots more people to use as they see fit in the classroom.
Absolutely.